Fatima, good to see you again. I know it's been a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Uh, really nice to see you, even though virtually. I wanted to start off because I was just on your website, really just earlier today, and I was for the purpose of looking at your upcoming workshops. So for anyone who is watching, I definitely encourage you to go check those out. The next one, I believe, is on March 23rd, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I started there, and then I went under your inspirational tab. And we've talked a lot these past couple weeks about AAA for life. So accountability, acceptance, and appreciation. And I might have gotten those. I think I got it in the right order.
Yeah.
And in your inspirationals, I found that you have a lot of triple other letters too. We have triple D's, we have triple P's, triple G's. And so I was hoping maybe today you would want to expand on any one of those because I wasn't even aware that we had these great reminders for other letters of the alphabet too.
Thank you, Ivy. It's always a pleasure to have a good discussion together. And yes, you're right. I have triple A, triple P, triple G, triple O, I believe, so many of them. And that was kind of one time I was coming out of meditation and I could clearly hear all these triples. So I was just like putting them together. And then I knew like later on with time, I will get inspired what each one means. And which I did eventually. And I put them on my website, where, the FatimaElHindi.com. They are under inspirations. So I feel today, if we want to bring any triple, it would be triple G. And the
Okay.
reason for that is because we talked a lot before about appreciation in relationships or appreciation in life in general. And usually appreciation, and correct me if I'm wrong, I always feel appreciation and people tend to appreciate what they have. That's if they appreciate. But we usually appreciate what we have. But the triple G, it has gratitude. So I put gratitude. And then the second one is giving. The third one is growth. So we started this videos together about like how we end suffering. And with my experience and also with the teachings of the Sufi masters that I grew up with, they usually talk about the laws of ending suffering. And one of them, like we mentioned earlier, was the law of forgiveness. And through the law of forgiveness, we went into the triple A, which has appreciation. Now, really, the second law to end suffering is gratitude. Now, what is gratitude? I feel it's much deeper than appreciation. And what I learned from childhood, gratitude is not to be grateful for what you have, but also to be grateful for what you don't have. And the main reason why we go through also gratitude for what we don't have is really to realize the potentials are there. You just need to activate them. So let's say if you don't have a house and you see
Mhm.
someone else has a house, instead of envying the person who has a house and you don't, you're going to just say, he's a human. He must have activated some potentials in him to make him work to build a house. I can do the same thing. Doesn't have to be exactly same like them, but we must have something within us, some type of light to activate that potential. As you know, we are all sparks of light from the divine light. So each one is a spark of light from the divine light. So we all have potentials. We just need to activate them. And if you don't activate them, you don't move to action, they won't be there. Can give you a metaphor of nature, okay? In nature, you have seeds all over. For example, you have seeds, but if you don't take the initiative, the action to take the seed and put it under the ground and cover it, okay? And then leave it to the sun and the water. You water it, of course, so you're nurturing it and you're exposing it to the sun. So between the sun and the water, it's going to come up as a tree. You agree with that? Now,
Right.
note the trees, they're going to be different. One tree will be a lemon tree, the other one will be orange, another one will be fig tree. It all depends on the seed. So the water is the same, the sun is the same, but each tree is different than the other. But I never heard in nature where you'll find the orange tree saying, I want to be the apple tree or I want to be the lemon tree. See,
Mm.
in nature, everyone is happy with their potential and they are growing. That's where I got the idea of gratitude, then giving, then growth. So you see the tree, once it's having and is being nurtured with water and sun, then it starts to grow and give you another fruit. You take the fruit and you take the seed and you put it back, and basically they are being growing
Mhm.
through giving. So
Right.
when we try to apply this metaphor on a human being, each one is a spark of light and each one has a potential. Instead of just looking at other people potentials, and that's usually happen in relationships, we tend to look at the potentials of others and think like, oh, if I get in a relationship with them, they can make me happy. But truly happiness is when you activate your own potential and find your own happiness. So to me, gratitude is look at what you don't have. It's not something that makes you feel bad, but makes you look at the potential if you can bring that out. And it doesn't have to be a copy of the other person because each one is unique. Just like I gave you the metaphor, each tree is unique. So that's why I feel like if we talk about this, it will be better. I even got into explaining.
No, I love the metaphors. In terms of gratitude, though, I find it interesting that you connect it to, tendencies to become envious or jealous of other people, which I think is true. And I think, yes, I agree with appreciation being primarily in the material realm. I appreciate my house, I appreciate having food in my stomach. I think that gratitude does go a little bit deeper because it's just general gratefulness for your situation in life. And maybe one thing that I would add to what you have mentioned is before we can start to grow, develop, and nurture, we do have to express gratitude for where we are in life currently, even if that's not where we want to be. And then with the giving, which I think is interesting that for you, it's giving is more self-nurturing. It's nurturing, fostering, primarily in yourself. And then I guess my question would be, does that giving or can that giving extend to others? And what does that look like?
It goes both ways.
Okay.
So if you don't give yourself and nurture yourself and you go in and find your own potentials and express them and
True.
work on them, there is no way you can give the others. And that's what we've been talking about in relationships. We cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot love someone else if you don't love yourself. And that's what a lots of people are coming to me and they're telling me, for example, clients, I have been trying so hard in this relationship. I gave them everything. I have done everything. And then at the end, I found myself like doing and doing and doing. At the end, they just left us, And then first answer would be you were working and nurturing their own potentials, but you did not work on your own.
Oh, that's such an
So
excellent reminder.
yeah, so you need to work on your own potentials first. And
Right.
once, just like the tree, when the tree is firm, it's giving you fruits and it tells you take those fruits and make other trees and help
Right.
others. But if you're not even tuned in yourself, if you don't, when I say find your potentials, really everyone came to this earth with that spark of light from the divine.
Mm.
So you just need to activate it, to go in, to believe in yourself, and then you can be giving. But if you're giving and you're not believing in yourself, you're just giving doubt to others.
No, and I think that it's an excellent reminder, and I think it really fits well into the metaphor that you provided, right? Because if you're not initially watering that seed, nurturing that seed,
Hmm.
then right. even if a tree does come from it, it's probably not going to, produce great fruit or a lot of fruit for others. So I think it is very symbolic that what you put into yourself has a direct correlation with what you're able to provide for others. So I think that that's great. And I think that there's a lemon tree right behind you too, which is also very
Yeah.
suiting.
Yeah, I feel like, that pulse of abundance, that's in your heart. That's what I say. You're being grateful is you are part of the divine. And the
Mhm.
divine, he basically you can say you were put on earth for a reason. And that reason is to grow. And the only way to grow is give yourself the chance to find that potential, act upon it, and then you start giving. And then the growth, I call it, it becomes self-perpetuating cycle. It's
Mhm.
like it becomes like, you're grateful, you are giving, and you're growing. It works that way.
No, I think that that's great. So, what tips do you have for people to express or feel grateful on a day-to-day basis and following what are the core criteria for that giving, that self-nourishment that either you suggest or that you practice in your day-to-day?
I usually advise people about what I do personally.
Hmm.
And first thing I do when I wake up before I even move from my bed, first thing I am very grateful that I have a new day. And I'm not gonna say it only with my mouth or write it in my affirmations. It's something that you need to feel from the deeper your heart, like you feel grateful for the day. And I just like don't allow myself to go back to talk about what bothered me yesterday, which is human. We tend to, when you wake up, you realized, and then the yesterday will come to your mind, or the anxiety of what you have to get done,
Right.
what you have to do during the day.
I'm
So
definitely the latter. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, and I went through it too. So you have to realize the age and the wisdom that comes with age and with learning. But it's a process, and that's why I'm saying I was born to teach. Is basically I went through it and I learned, and I prefer to help people to do it earlier than what myself. But I try to stop myself right away about that anxiety. So I go, I wash, I pray and meditate, and I try to keep myself centered. And I say, let me appreciate the moment. I'm going to appreciate my breakfast. I'm going to appreciate everything I go through because we tend to go either to the future or to the past. So you need to catch yourself. And the best way to catch yourself, you just say, I don't know if I'm going to live to this evening. So let me just do what I have now, which
Mm,
is true. Nobody knows. So
right.
once you get this habit, it becomes like habitual.
Hmm.
And everything starts with a step. Do it every day. And also learn to just be aware, and that awareness comes from when you start to have that spaciousness within you. Like you become the observer of the experience. Like if I tell myself, like, oh, I better hurry, then I will stop and say, who's speaking here? Is it coming from my ego? Am I the observer? Hurry for what? You see, these are things like, and you can bring to, if you have anything that comes to mind in the morning, but usually that's how I started to do it. And, as you know, my life is, I was challenged, just being a mother of 6 children, it's a challenge and each kid has his own things. But I learned with raising my kids, also with being a teacher for so many years in the center and in college. I noticed if you do not catch yourself to be in the moment,
Hmm.
it's going to be very hard. Like, you're
I
doing a task, you get a phone call from a kid, someone is, in a panic attack that you need to help, and you run this, you run that. So,
Yeah.
life is, you have a paper due, like when I was in graduate school, like you, or you're a professor and you have to grade and you have to submit the grades and all these life challenges. If you do not keep yourself in the moment and you're grateful for that experience, and
Hmm.
also, I always learned, maybe this came at young age because of the scholars, is always remind yourself that you are not here forever, and you are not the body, you are the spirit who is having this body experience. So
Yeah.
then remind yourself all the time to tune in to your spirit or to your higher self, or everybody gives it a different name.
Absolutely. And so I do agree with you that it is really through living in the moment, which I'm sure many people like me, it's the hardest thing to do. That's
Yeah,
really where you're able to hone in on gratitude for where you are in life, appreciation for the small things throughout the day. And
yeah.
so I think that that's great. How do you give to yourself then to foster growth? And what people can do on a day to day apart from living in the moment, expressing gratitude?
Yeah,
What are some
well,
other ways?
I feel like the giving to the self, it all depends from one to one,
Okay.
person to person. Like for example, the prayer and the meditation, these two, they have to always be in your life.
Mm,
Okay. Like they work together. I always felt like, okay, the best definition of prayer is talking to the universe, and the best definition of meditation is listening to the universe.
mm,
But how it differs from person to person, it depends on your own potential. Someone like me, for example, I always loved knowledge. So I give time to myself to read books, to nurture this part of me that I really wanted to be a teacher. So to be a teacher, you need to know what you're teaching. And
right.
also, the best way to be a teacher is also by teaching. So you learn as you give. So that's giving. I also a good cook. I consider myself a good cook.
That's
So I
great.
always you tried my food. So I always try to learn other recipes. It doesn't have to be from my own country. So you're gonna keep learning. Now I learn, but then I share. If I cook something, I would love to share. Every time I invite a different type of people just to
Mm,
share. So you give yourself by like you say, nurturing whatever you need to nurture within you. That's why I said it's going to be different from one
I
person
see.
to person. But then you also give, and that helps the growth. So if I look back in my life, what I know now, I didn't know, 10 years ago. My cooking skills now are totally much higher and better than 10 years ago. I don't need now, for example, even to have the measuring cup like I do it, just like
Mhm.
it becomes very habitual. So it is all about being. When you do things from the heart, and that helps you to grow yourself at the being level. It's not about doing and acting and caring about what others say. This is very, very important to be very, very grateful person and understand gratitude at the deepest level. It will help you to co-create the best life ever. And to co-create the best life ever means you're working with the creator. You're
Mm,
co-creating with the creator. And to be co-creating with the creator, you don't care if people criticize you or tell you you're the best. You don't care about that. You care about this is where I am at this point, and
yeah.
I am trying my best, and I'm giving and doing the best I have and the best I am now. And as you develop yourself, okay, you're going to keep giving from whatever you learned and you earned and you became. That's why I always love the saying of the Sufi scholars when they say, it's not about like how much you gather, it's about how much you become.
Mm,
So it's really about your being level.
right. I
Okay.
mean, that was a beautiful summary. And if
Thank
anything, I
you.
think there's a lot we can take from it. And it just a reminder, I think, for everyone to really self-nourish, self-care. It's not selfish, it's really for the benefit of others. And I think, if anything, that today is a great reminder of that. So I
Thank
love it.
you.
And I hope that in the future we can do some other letters and in future talks, because right now we have A and G and a lot more of the alphabet to go.
Okay, no problem. Thank you
All right.
again. See you next
Thank
time.
you. See you.